primarily where our organization sits. So I run this organization called Clear Method, and within the Clear Method, I have devised my own modality of therapy. So it's a body-centered, bottom-up approach to healing core pain. It is primary pain focused and a body-centered psychotherapeutic tool. Now, within that, I have also developed a methodology for healing anxiety. So that is our primary focus, and I teach that to therapists all over the world. It is my primary focus, and we then do workshops like this to help therapists, coaches, consultants get the best out of their world, get the best out of themselves, hence this imposter syndrome. We have a collective, so we have a group of therapists that meet monthly, and we do personal development and we do all sorts of lovely stuff. So that's a little bit about the organization and a little bit about me. I've done a TED talk on the methodology, on my own history, on my own story. I've transformed an awful lot of pain, an awful lot of primary pain, an awful lot of core pain, and transformed it in a body-centered way. So look, if you Google it, it's a plethora. Tonight is not about me, but I do want to give you a wee bit of grounding so that you know what you're coming to, and that you know that what I'm delivering is being tried and tested, and what I'm going to tell you to do throughout this workshop has been tried and tested. This isn't just a kind of a methodology that hasn't been borne out in clinical practice. We have lots of amazing outcomes, and there's some people here today. I can see some people here today that are in our training program, so you're all very welcome. So with that said, that's the silly introduction, so that I'm not mentioning myself one more time. You're not here for me, here for you. So with all of that said, we are going to jump right in. We're going to jump into the intention that I have set for you today. My intention for you by the end of our time together, however long that will be, hopefully we'll get out of here alive in about two and a bit hours, right? So my intention is to really help you understand at a real core level what the underlord is happening for you, what you are experiencing, what is holding you back, what is stopping you, what is the details of what is happening internally to you, why you have these emotional patterns, why you have this constant patterning in your system, why it's showing up, why it's infiltrating your days, why it's leading to all of these secondary pain issues. That is my intention. By the time we are finished, you will have an answer and you will know what to do. That's really important, but more important than that for me is this, that you will stop chasing your tail. You'll stop going after the things that doesn't move the dial. What does that mean? You'll stop going after the affirmations. You'll stop going after the CPD. You'll stop going after fixing one part of a problem when it's just a product of a much, much deeper problem. Because if there's anything that I know that exhausts us as human beings, when we don't have the answer to why, then we spin. And when we spin, we use it against ourselves. And how many of these can resonate with that? How many of these here can resonate with spinning your wheels? How many of these here can resonate with using all of the evidence that you have that you're just rubbish and awful against yourself? And you're just spinning your wheels and going after more CPD and going after more issues. And that's what I hope. If I do nothing else tonight, look, right, and I do that, then I'll have done my job in 2 hours. I'll have hopefully stopped you spinning. At best, what I hope to do is, I hope that you have an answer. It's the best outcome and you'll know what you need to do with it. But even if I just stop you spinning, that would be enough. That would be brilliant for me. Is everybody with me? Is that okay? Now, at the end of this class, if you want to work with me, I'm going to show you how you can. So we'll do that at the end. We'll show you how you can work in a much more detailed way with me towards the end. But for now, we're going to start with the idea of imposter syndrome. This might seem like it's a very, very silly question because you've all understand. I mean, I think there was 500 people signed up for this class tonight, right? 500 people, 500 therapists, 500 coaches, 500 consultants, 500 people who are trying to do their best with other people signed up for this class. I'm going to ask you to do something now, and it's for you, right? I want you to type in the chat what your experience of imposter syndrome is. Now, why is it for you, right? It's for you because when you see all of your colleagues, and there's 66 people in this room tonight, when you see all of your colleagues saying the same thing, repeating the same language, you'll know you're not on your own. All right, so that's where we start. We start by supporting each other. We start by holding each other up. We start there. So tell me, what does it mean to you? What does it look like for you? What's it say? What's the language patterns of it? What do you hear in your head? What's it say to you? Not knowing enough, frauds, I'll get found out, not good enough, don't know enough, not adequate. Brilliant. Look at the chat, guys. Imposter syndrome is when the critical voice outweighs the compassionate voice. Brilliant. And the compassionate voice is the voice that we're told to treat imposter syndrome with. Isn't that right? Brilliant. Struggling with self-doubt, struggling with self-blame. What if, or that I'm not good enough. Brilliant. Never feeling enough, not enough. Feeling like I'm on the outside, not qualified, never enough. Who do you think you are? Love that one, Miss McNamee. I'm not a good enough counsellor. I don't know enough. Brilliant. I can't do this, don't have the energy, not good enough, stops me from progressing. Go and look at the feed, guys. Please look at the feed. Please see. A failure. I don't know where to start. Always doubting myself. I got here by fluke. I love that one, Catherine. That comes up time and time and time and time again. Not knowing enough, completely useless, right? Constantly looking for reasons, not qualified enough. Do you see the amount of energy that goes into feeling like you need to be qualified? Look at the amount of energy. Can I ask another question? How many courses have you spent for CPD? How many times have you gone after more information? How many times have you gone after new courses? Brilliant. Watch this, watch the feed. Lost count, countless. I'm hoping this puts a stop to that. I'm hoping your understanding of what's happening to you puts a stop to that tonight. How does it feel to see the amount of chat? How does it feel to see that in a room full of what is now 68 therapists and 500 therapists, coaches, counsellors, whatever, helpers, how does it feel to know that we're all operating out of the same place? Because when you look around the room, you think they're more qualified than you. You think they know more than you. Look around the room, look at the gallery. I'm going to put you on gallery in a wee minute. Look around. Because what happens is that we all eye each other up. And we all think everybody else knows more than us, but we're all thinking the same thing. No, we have to. As a team, as a cohort of professionals who are helping others, we have to move away from that because we're all just operating out of the same places. So what I'm hoping here is, I'm hoping even by this conversation, we're lifting ourselves into a new way of thinking, a new way of being. Everybody is feeling and thinking the same thing. Everybody is operating from the same place. Okay, so let's look at the reverse of that, right? It's reassuring. I know it is reassuring. It's reassuring to see that we're all in the same place. Let's look at the reverse of it before we get into the details. What would it be like? What would it be like to be free from this? What would you, I'm going to ask the doing question first, right? So I'm going to split that into a doing and a feeling. What would you do more of? What would you do? What actions would you take if you had imposter syndrome going? Just allow yourself the energy of that for a wee minute. What would you do? You would relax, Michelle, lovely. Be a phenomenal therapist. Jenny, I bet you already are a phenomenal therapist. I'd run courses, brilliant, Julie. More self-care, teach what I know, brilliant, Julie. Yeah, go after everything. Enjoy more time off, brilliant. Reaching out for new clients, explore without fear. Relax. I love the difference. Some people are saying they just relax, and some people were saying, like, I know, I go for it. I go for a bigger practice. I go for more clients. I go for teaching. I would go for freedom. Brilliant. Confidence. How many people would like to run courses and classes like this, where you're speaking to multiples? How many would like they have freedom? Really, really important. Market myself. Stop hiding. Yes, Julie. You'll be on this course at the end of this, so we'll see what happens there. Get out there. Brilliant. Absolutely, Sandy. Brilliant. Sandy, it's bad that I know your business name and know the name behind it, isn't it? Brilliant, Sandy. Fantastic. Okay, really important, the freedom of self-doubt and to do more group stuff. So now I want you to think, so that's what the doing part of it is. What would be the feeling part? What's the feeling part? What would you feel like? Free, relief, joy, free, calm, confident, excited, fulfilled, relief, empowered. Brilliant. Look at that. Look. Brilliant. Fantastic. Light and feel free from fear. Well done. Absolutely brilliant. Now, why is that part important? It is important that you take about 2 seconds, just in your own, let's just take a wee pause and try and embody that feeling at the minute, right? Why am I wanting you to do this? Because I'm about to delve into some very difficult topics. And I need an anchoring point for you, right? I need a place that you can come back to, that you can anchor into. So some of that feeling, see that, David, at home in myself? How beautiful. At home in myself. I want you to anchor under that. Whatever words you have thought, whatever feelings that you have felt, whatever place you think you could come to, I want you just to anchor that and have that feeling at hand as we move through this material. Okay? This material is not for the faint-hearted. So what we're going to do is we're going to move through the material, and I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you're going to answer 3 questions. All right? We're going to answer the first question, and then we're going to take a break because you're going to be bombarded, right? And you're going to want a wee stretch break. You're going to want a wee drink, or we put the kettle on and come back to me. Some of you may not come back to me. Some of you may say, I've had enough, thank you very much. Okay, we don't need to know anymore. Because we are going to start with the easiest part of the assessment, okay? And I'm really serious. It's not some sort of kind of pitch or something. If this is difficult and it feels too much and you have too much going on, then don't be afraid to step away, because you see question two is going to be much tougher. Question 3 is the easier question. Question 1 is the easiest question. Question 2 is really tough. So if question 2 is too tough and it feels like it's too overwhelming, then please be kind and good to yourself and step away. It's fine, honestly. All right. So my intention is to help, not to hinder. So I want you to be mindful of yourself. I want you to have an anchor in place for yourself to come home to. And I want you to be able to just kind of mind yourself throughout this process. Everybody all right? Is everybody okay? Give me a nod. Moira, you're right in my eye line. Ingrid, you're right in my eye line. Sarah, you're right in my eye line. Andy, you're my eye line. Nicola or Nicole, you're right in my eye line. So I am counting on you to be nodding You're under pressure now, right? You're under pressure. I can see you, right? I can't see the rest of them because they're all in a gallery, but I can see you 5, right? I'm joking. I'm not putting anybody under pressure, but if you would give me a nod or a thumbs up. Everybody all right? Has anybody any questions thus far? How's the speed? Speed okay? Grant, Marion, accent okay? All right, I'm not going too fast. No? Okay. All right. Now, for anybody that has a processing issue, this will be available for a while after, so that they can take their time and they can go back over it and they can listen to it again and they can digest it. So just take whatever you can from it in the moment, and then know that it'll be up for a wee while in the group and you'll have a wee replay after it. So if you need to watch it again just to process through it, that is fine. All right, so just take your time and take it gently. Okay, so here goes our first question. So what I want, what do we see? Just give me 2 seconds. I'm just about to share a document. I want to see if we can get that document up. Okay. All right. There we go. There we are. Can everybody see that document? Thumbs up. Brilliant. Perfect. Okay. So this is your first question. I want you to concentrate on the circle in the middle here. Is everybody all right? Yeah. I want you to concentrate on the circle in the middle. I want to explain what leadership means. Okay. So I want you to think about leadership as self-leadership. You have probably heard this before, right? And anybody that's in corporate, anybody that's like you, Maria, I'm not talking about leadership as in leading people. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm talking about leadership as in leading yourself. Okay? And I want to contextualize leadership, right? Leadership and mindset are different. Okay, so leadership is how you conduct yourself, how you operate in this life. Okay, so how you conduct yourself, how you take action, how you move forward, how you conduct yourself. Everybody with me? Now, the context of self-leadership is that when we think about self-leadership, we are assuming that there is no trauma. We're assuming that self-leadership, yeah, so leading self, taking action, getting results. We're assuming that there is no trauma holding back those results, holding back the ways that you take action. There's not what we're talking about. And when we're talking about self-leadership is we're talking about post-trauma. Now, leadership is the stuff that we would have been taught as children to tidy our rooms. Leadership is the stuff that we were taught if we do A, we get B. Does that make sense? So when we're talking about leadership, we're talking about your particular operating systems. All right. So what are your particular operating systems? We have 4 quadrants of operating systems. All right. And the 4 quadrants of operating systems, some of us are, now you're not going to get all of this right, but it's just an explanation. We would need 2 weeks to go into this, right? Some of us are promoters, natural promoters, filled with energy, filled with love, filled with passion, filled with story, filled with build big chat. Can you guess what I might be? I'm a natural promoter. Yeah. So some of us are these promoters who are big chatters, big, have lots of energy. Some of us are these supporters who will put others first, look out for others. Now tell me if you're seeing any of this in yourself. Okay, some of us are supporters where we're aligned with other people, where we're watching other people, where we're concerned by other people's feelings and thoughts, and we're watching and trying to support others. So if you're a supporter, put it in the chat. Some of us are directors or controllers. Nobody likes the word controller, so we'll use the word direct. Some of us are forceful. Some of us don't understand other people's emotions. Some of us just want results. Some of us are pushing through. And some of us are very analytical, which means we calculate everything. Watch the many supporters that come through here. If you're a supporter, let me know. Now, why when we look at the many supporters, it's incredible. It's really incredible. I do this work for organizations, and when you go into an organization that has a particular job role, you can see the operating systems coming. You go between promoter and supporter, yeah, because we don't operate with one just, we normally have two. So you could be a support and promoter, you could be a support and analyzer. Now, why am I talking about this, right? Brilliant, brilliant, David. So you're a promoting supporter, so you're both, that's fine, yeah? Yeah, brilliant. You've become more of a supporter, Laura, right? Why am I talking about this? Well, I'm talking about this because within every operating system, there's a racket. Now, nobody hide on me. We have rackets. Yeah. Promoters tend to overtalk and underdeliver. Nobody hide on me. Supporters tend to have a wee bit of martyrdom, tend to put everybody first. Where's my supporters? Brilliant, Bianca, supporter with analytical traits. Fabulous. Yeah. Supporters tend to run the racket of over delivering for everybody else and under delivering for themselves. Give me a nod. Let me see me supporters that do that. Does this certainly make sense? Yeah? Okay. Directors tend to get into all sorts of relational difficulties. Tend to direct too much, direct too quick, and not be in connection. These are broad sweeping statements. All that we're doing is doing a quick overview. I mean, we could get into the minutiae of this, but we're not, all right? Directors tend to do that, and analyzers tend to like to have it all calculated first. They tend to want to have it all watched first. They tend to want to have it all organized first, given the maximum. Brilliant, fabulous. Now, why is that a problem? Because my question to you inside leadership, does any of these ways of being stop you from getting what you want out of life? Give me a yes or no. Does any of these ways of being stop you? Yeah, brilliant. Now, see if you answer yes to all three questions. See if you answer yes to all three questions. That is fine, at least you know, all right? Absolutely. Look at that. Already out of the park, we're starting to see. Yeah. We do this in work, we do this, I do this with my friends. It's so important. Let me tell you what my end was, right? My end, I'm a promoting supporter, but I'm more promoter than I'm supporter. And I tend to have these big ideas, right? And I had come into the office, if we're talking about self-sabotage, if we're talking about imposter syndrome, and I would tend to come into the office full of ideas, full of woohoo, woohoo, promotion, right? And the guys in the office would just look, because Leona, who's here tonight would say, please put the pom-pom down. We have like 9, she's analytical. We have 9 million things to do. I don't need your madness today, please. So I get them to manage my over promotion of myself, right? While important, and I allow them, and I understand this part of me so that I can lead myself out of my own rackets. So I can be aware of them and lead myself, especially if they stop me getting to where I want to get to, right? So that's all I'm asking. Do you have a racket problem inside your operating system? And if you do, it's fine. Just at least admitting it and watching it and getting somebody to help you with it is really important. Now, the next thing inside leadership, right? Now, I could spend 9 months seriously working with you on that, right? But even bringing awareness to your rackets is enough to change it. All right? Bringing awareness to your rackets is enough to change it. Now, see the second piece of the puzzle. There are some guys here who are on our emotional mastery class. There's some guys here who have been on our emotional mastery class. This second piece, an emotional mastery issue. How many of you get caught in the turmoil of emotion? Tell me in the chat. How many of you get caught in the turmoil of emotion? How many of you get trapped for days, weeks? And if you do get trapped, yep, overwhelmed. How many of you get trapped in emotion and use it against yourself? Let me know in the chat. Draining, yeah, stuck, brilliant. Emotions that are overwhelming that you can't seem to get out of. Cecile, brilliant, brilliant. Somebody says not really. That's really good. Who says not really? Delia, not really. Brilliant, Delia. Now you're starting to differentiate. See, if you say no to this is as equally as important as saying yes to it. This is you beginning to see where your patterns are, where your emotional patterns are that are holding you back. Especially fear, Julie. Yes, emotional exhaustion. Paralyzed, George. Brilliant. This is really, really, really important. And when you get trapped in these emotions, when you get trapped, how long would you get trapped in them for? Days, weeks? And when you get trapped in them, how does it rob you from your doing? Overwhelming. Days, Sandy. Brilliant. How much does it rob you from your doing? You know, the doing that you want to do that we talked about at the beginning, like do the courses. Do you know that doing? Now, how long are you at? Days, and then the doubt kicks in. Brilliant, Catherine. Now we're starting to see it. And then the doubt kicks in. Now we're starting to see the flavor. Now we're starting to see the cause of the doubt, of the imposter, of I shouldn't be feeling like this. I shouldn't be doing this. Now we're starting to see the flavor of it. That was brilliant. Days, I get caught in emotions for days, and then the doubt kicks in. Because what do you say to yourself about that? Not moving forward, not doing what I'm supposed to do. And there's the reason for procrastination. There's the reason for not following through. There's the reason for getting caught. Now I'm going to let you into a wee tiny secret as we start to process this, because it's so important. How many of these have gone after procrastination is the problem? You see, starting to see it's not the problem, it's the product of a problem. If you go after the wrong problems, you'll stay stuck in them. Does that make sense to you? If you have an emotional mastery issue, if you get trapped in emotion, don't know how to move it, don't know how to soothe it, don't know how to get out of it in lightning speed. So if you're not like Teflon to emotion, then you're going to get trapped in it. If you get trapped in it, then you're going to use it against yourself. And you're not going to be able to do, and you're not going to be able to take action because you're so caught in trying to get out of the emotion that's in your body. You can't take action. You can't put that post up for your group. You can't try phone for that client or put that or have that sales call or whatever it is you do. You can't do that when you're trapped in these patterns of behavior becomes an impossibility. Siobhan, we've talked about this. This is leadership. This is what traps you. And it's so important. Look, emotional mastery for me was my biggest trapper. Leona will tell you, as we were building the business, which is what we're trying to do, scaling the business, trying to get as many people help, trying to get as many people onto our courses so that we could help more people fundamentally. As we were doing that, the things that held me back were over-promising, too much promotion, too much of that, emotional mastery, getting caught in emotion, and then like a wee bunny in a headlight, then like working with that emotion and not going back to the task in hand. Does that make sense, Steve? And then what would happen after that then was like I'd see everybody else scaling their business and say, oh, I can't do it. I'm useless. I'm rubbish. Use the information against myself. Then what would happen is that I would try and go for a strategy. Stay with me, everybody. I will go for a strategy, a scaling strategy, but I could have all this bloody strategy I wanted in the world. If I wasn't managing the emotion and stop over talking, then there's no strategy in the world but it would work. It's a bit like the CPD. No amount of knowledge is going to take that away. Is everybody with me? So my question to you is, in emotional mastery, emotional mastery is the ability to feel a feeling, run it through, let it go, self-soothe, and move on. If we don't have emotional mastery, we get caught in these cycles of, which is what's around here, cycles and cycles and cycles of difficulty. I could talk about that. I have an entire course on emotional mastery, an entire 6-week course. So I'm giving you a snippet of it in this minute. I have an entire 6-week course, but I need to show you the implications of emotional mastery to help you understand what is holding you back. Now, what's your relationship to pain like? Do you like a wee bit of ease? Do you like the good times? Do you like the nice heat? Do you like the nice food? What's your relationship with pain like? Now, that's yes, comfort, brilliant. Who likes a wee bit of comfort? Who likes a wee bit of ease? There's not a human being on the planet that doesn't. But how attached are you to it? What do you like with pain? Here is another thing that kept me back, kept me from growing, kept me from delivering what I needed to deliver. Here's another thing that kept me stuck, was my trauma pattern was to seek, because my defense is sublimation. So I would always have sought in sublimation, ease, always have sought the good stuff. Everybody with me? So my trauma pattern was to move away from pain and into ease from lightning speed. How painful is it to write content? How painful is it to look for the right a group course? How painful is it when you're scrambling for ideas to take action? How painful is it to do a video on Facebook? How painful is it to look for new clients? How painful is it to network? How painful? And how good are you at managing that pain? How good are you at pushing through it? How good are you at not ignoring it, going with it? Look at that. I avoid it, look for reassurance. It's very fearful. Our relationship with pain is massive. How we feel about it, how we respond to it, we get away from it, avoid it, brilliant. These are basic leadership ideas. They're not trauma informed at all. This is just operational systems. This is just the human condition. There's nothing wrong with you. There's no trauma there. There's just ways of being, patterns of behavior that we have become accustomed to that we've never, ever questioned. Now, what happens? What happens in these patterns of being? What happens in these? We procrastinate because we don't like the pain. We give far too much of ourselves because we're supporters and we think that's our job. And we exhaust ourselves from fulfilling anything that we need to do. Anybody with me? How are we all doing? Right? We live in martyrdom. We live in feeling sorry for ourselves because we're so exhausted from giving, but we never put boundaries up. And when we live in that energy, where is the energy for or remember all the things that you said at the beginning, guys. I would do group courses. I would put myself out more. I would get new clients. I would help more people. I'd be a brilliant therapist because the world really does need more therapists. And I'm not joking. The world needs a lot of fucking therapists at the moment. I don't know about you, but we are inundated. We cannot control it. So the world does need you. It needs to stop. It needs to get you out of your rackets and get your backside out there so that people can get more help. It does need you. You know, it was the only driving force that made me look. And Leona, I'll tell you, you know, I'm constantly, Leona's, for anybody who doesn't know, Leona's nothing happens without Leona. In my world, nothing. She is the center of everything. And without, you know, I can either cry thinking about her, but without her, brilliant, Louisa. You dwell in the pain too long. Brilliant, fantastic. So what's really important here is that we're just asking ourselves the raw, honest questions. And my next question is, and what has been the product? I want you to put in the chat for me, right? What has been the product of those problems? What has been the product of the rackets? What has been the product of martyrdom? What has been the product of giving too much? What has been the product of being caught in emotion? Is it procrastination? Is it exhaustion? Burnout. Watch this. Watch the chat. Burnout. Burnout. Watch this. Procrastination. Burnout. Exhaustion. Watch it. Look at the same stuff coming. Shut down. Give up. Brilliant. Stress. And what do you do? What do you do with that, with those products? You call it imposter syndrome. You use it to beat yourself up with. You take the procrastination and you try to fix that. You take the giving too much and you try to fix that. Is everybody with me? That is what we call secondary pain. That is the secondary pain of leadership. Not living, just surviving. Sadie, we're going to come to that in a wee minute. Procrastination, burnout, stress, exhaustion, overwhelm. And what happens is, and this is what is so important, I'm going to let you have a break now and digest this stuff, right? What happens is so important because you try to fix the procrastination. You try to fix the burnout. You try to fix the stress by self-care, but you put yourself right back into it when you don't fix the root cause. And you just keep repeating and repeating and repeating. And what happens is that you use it against yourself and say, you see, I can't even get myself out of what I'm trying to help other people get out of. You see, look at how useless I am. You see? I'm going to say that again, right? And then we're going to have a wee break. It's past. We'll have a wee 5 minute, 7 minute break, just enough for a cup of tea and straight back, right? But I want to leave you with that. If you've got a leadership issue, any one of those leadership issues, and you don't fix that leadership issue, right? And you don't fix it, then it'll create products that you try to fix and never solve anything. And you'll keep yourself looped in that issue. What are you thinking about that? Tell me what you think. Yeah, not enjoying anything, letting the days pass, anxiety, not loving, just surviving. Brilliant. Okay, this is important because this is the day that it changes. This is the day that you stop going after the secondary pain. This is the day that you stop focusing on the stuff that doesn't move the dial. If I'm going to get you out of imposter syndrome so we can get your backside on seats and grips where people need your help, if we're going to do that, then we have to focus where it matters. We have to make the changes where it matters. If it's emotional mastery, fine. If it's rackets, fine. If it's your relationship with pain. Brilliant, Joe. Do you see it? All I need is a nod, right? Well, we know it. Does this wee diagram make sense for you? Does it conceptualize it well enough? Everybody all right? Give me a nod. Marianne, how are we doing? Sandy, how are we doing? Yes, feeling stuck, useless, and a failure. And the only reason, Michelle, you're feeling stuck is because you don't know where to focus your attention. You don't know where to focus, what to heal. You're healing the wrong stuff. I'm going to say this 100 times a day. You're trying to fix an internal problem with an external solution. You're trying to fix an internal problem with an external solution, like CPD, like CAM apps, like you find the source of the problem, which is why we're doing this 2-hour workshop, and you go for fixing that. When you fix that stuff, you'll have more energy. And you'll not be feeding this cycle of imposter syndrome, because that's all imposter syndrome is. It's a cycle. Right? Does that make sense to everybody? Right, George, thank you. Right, Joe, everybody happy now? Does everybody want to go away and not want to come back now? How are we doing? Are we all right? We all right so far? We haven't scared you yet. Okay. When we come back, right, we're going to look at question 2. Question 2 is primary pain. It's the more difficult stuff. It's the more trauma-informed stuff. All right? And I can tell you this, guys. See, if any of you are living with primary pain and trying to take action, it's going to be near impossible for you. And you've probably been living with primary pain and absolutely annihilating yourself from it. So we're going to look at what is primary pain, what's the detail of primary pain, how do you know if you've primary pain, how do you identify your primary pain, and how do you see what your primary pain is causing. All right? How does that feel? And I think, as Billy, did you just come in there? Yes, see, now see your wee face. Billy's there, right? So Billy, you just wave your, I'm going to just pin you a wee minute. This is Billy. Say hello to Billy. Billy is our clearance specialist. So Billy works very closely with me. And Billy is going to be helping out in the chat in the second question, because the second question is really difficult. So if you see somebody answering your chat, it's Billy, all right? Billy has been training with me for years. She ticks all of our clients and does an amazing job. So because this is such a big piece, the second piece, Billy's going to be helping out with answering any questions anybody has and making sure that we're hitting the nail on the head in this next piece. So it is 18 months past. What will we say? Will we say 25 past? See, he's back at 25 past. All right. I'm recording. I was saying about my operating system being a promoter and tending to come with the pom-poms and the excitement and well, my very good friends have a name for that, and they call me extra. So they say there's extra coming. So Leona has just messaged there now, saying extra. They call me extra. Extra's a wee bit sloppy tonight because I was sharing the love for Leona. Leona, nothing's safe. I'm telling everything that you saying to me.
Nothing is safe. Nothing is safe.
Nothing is safe.
Yes, so that's what we're all about, being authentic.
Extra is a wee bit sloppy tonight.
Not sloppy, soppy.
Soppy and sloppy. Soppy. All right. Okay. I'll take that. How is everybody doing? Did that leadership stuff land okay for you? Was it meaningful enough? And how many of these that are here have leadership issues that you could be doing with working on? Brilliant. Fantastic. So my next question is this, right? My next question is the leadership issues the predominant issue, or is there another emotional pattern that's more predominant than the leadership issue? Okay, so is there another emotional pattern that's more predominant than the leadership issue itself? Everybody with me? Is there something else? Do you have, and this is question 2, do you have a primary pain issue? Now, what is a primary pain issue? A primary pain issue is a continuous feeling, a continuous energetic feeling, emotional pattern that has a detailed language pattern, has the same language, has the same emotion, possibly has some nervous system activation on it. What's that mean? You might have some fear around it. You might have some anxiety around it. You might have some panic around it. Everybody with me? So primary pain is a feeling. It's a core emotion that is often heavy in frequency, in energy. Yeah? That has a certain felt sense that's very, very familiar to you, that keeps repeating itself. It has a very, very detailed language pattern that's repetitive. It just doesn't happen once. It has happened 100 times over and over and over and over again. Let me know. Yes, yes, I will never be enough. Brilliant. Who do you think you are? I'm not safe. Okay. Yeah. So the fear of being made fun of, being my language pattern would be, oh God, what if I'm not right? And someone points it out. So there is primary pain. There is the fear of humiliation. There is the fear of it being pointed out and the feelings in that. The fear of not being liked. The fear of never being enough. Anybody else? Not competent. Not as good as others. I can't do this. Yeah. Failure. Okay. Now, George, you've just says don't move, be paralyzed. That is a response. What is it that you can't move from? Disappointed in myself. Brilliant. Judged by others, and then judging yourself. Never enough. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at a repetitive emotional pattern in the body. Yeah. We're looking at a repetitive emotional pattern. Okay, being a failure, disappointing others, never being enough. Brilliant. Now, what I want you to do for me here, right, is that I want you to try and get in contact with that feeling in your body. All right? That repetitive feeling. Now, I want you to take a few moments. If you've got primary pain, I want you to take a few moments and write down the fabric of that feeling. I want you to get really intimate with it, because this feeling has been bullying you for how long? It has been torturing you for how long? How long has this been torturing you for? George, I will be attacked. Brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant. Why do I always cry? Brilliant, Julie. Years, forever. Brilliant. George, brilliant. So, Joe, realizing I've always worn a coat, armor, and corporate role, burned out and feeling vulnerable. But I really want to be authentic, but it scares the crap out of me. Bloody brilliant, Joe. So what's the problem with being authentic? What's the outcome with being authentic? What will happen as a result of your authenticity? Because there's obviously some consequences. Now, can everybody see what I'm doing here? What I'm doing is that, like what I did with the leadership issue, I'm pushing you, coaching you towards understanding this primary pain. We cannot heal what we don't understand. So getting an eye on the fabric of this feeling. Yeah, everybody with me? You wouldn't mind muting yourself because there's somebody unmuted and it's ruffling. Brilliant. People will judge. Brilliant. Not being accepted. What happens when you're not accepted? Brilliant. Feeling, okay, I'll not be wanted, I'll be rejected. Things are bound to go wrong. The fear of repeating my abilities. So when we're asking ourselves, which is the second question, do I have a core wounded experience, which is primary pain? How do we know? It's often repetitive. You've heard it before. It has come up time and time and time and time again. Familiar variations of it, but it has come up again. It is raw and gut-wrenching and unbearable. And it's associated with the body, and often there is, and I think George was saying that there's this fear, terror, feeling this nervous system activation. Now we're in trauma land. Now we're in trauma pattern. I'm afraid to be seen as a fake. Yeah. Okay, so being attacked, verbally put down. Wow, how many people are afraid of being attacked? Do you see that? How many people are afraid of being pointed out? How many people are afraid? Do you see that? Isn't that incredible? So as part of this feeling that you have, this core wounded experience, this core feeling that you have in yourself, as part of that, of not good enough, you're afraid of the consequences of not being good enough. You're afraid of the consequences of not being enough. You're afraid of the consequences of not being smart enough. Because the question is, what was the consequences like as a child? What was the consequences like as a child? Brilliant. Being left alone. Brilliant. Not being heard. There is one thing, and it's brilliant, Louisa, brilliant, the fear of not being liked. Look at that. So as children, if we weren't liked, then we were rejected. We were abandoned, we were humiliated, we were rejected. There is the pain that you're actually afraid of. There is the difficulty that you're actually running from. Do you see it? Told I was stupid, being punished, being shamed, not being spoken to. Here's my question to you. Can CPD ever take that away? Can any amount of self-care ever take that away? Can the best degrees in the world take that away? Now do you see that you're seeking an external solution to an internal problem. And that what we really need to do is heal it from the inside. Does that make sense? We really need, no, you keep going around in circles, Sandy. Yep, trying to do that for years doesn't work. So what I'm really doing here tonight is that I'm shining a light, trying to shine a light on the repetitive emotional pattern you're carrying around with you and have been for years. And what I'm saying is that this pattern is a pattern of the child. It's a pattern of your early years. Now, somebody said there now, which is really, really important, and I want you to think about this. Not good enough. The idea of not being good enough is never good enough to heal. Who has ever tried to affirm good enough? Has good enough ever left you? No matter how many times you tell yourself you're good enough, you're good enough, you're good enough, you're good enough, that feeling of good enough never leaves. Is everybody with me? Why? Because not good enough is a core feeling. It has to be removed emotionally. We have to find the source of it. Now, somebody there said there, which is really important, and Billy will concur with this, right? Somebody said there now that not being heard, not being seen, not being validated as a child, not good enough often comes from those places. Comes from the places of not being heard, your emotional world not being heard, not being validated, not being seen, not good enough, not enoughness, often comes from those places. Does that resonate with anybody? So if that resonates, then we now know where we have to heal it. We now know where it has to be healed. It can't be healed in affirmations. It can't be healed cognitively. It can't be healed with CPD. So when we're working in these core wounded experiences, there's something wrong with me. Nobody hears me. Nobody sees me. They're my brilliant Billy. Beautifully put. There must be something wrong with me. No one hears me. No one sees me. Where's my feelings? And now we've got the foundation of not enoughness. When we've got the foundation of not enoughness, we can heal not enoughness. Now, why is this important? It's important for the same reason. Watch this now, right? It's important for the same reason leadership's important. I'm going to bring up this. I want you to look at the inner, does everybody see that? Everybody see that quite clearly? Look at the inner circle there. Primary pain. Irrelevant. I am irrelevant was the child's narrative, was the child's experience. That is in the body. Is it not showing? Is the purple?
Not showing you, Shona.
Is it not? Where do we see? Where do we see? Is that showing now? No. Where do we see? That showing?
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Okay. So when we talk about this primary pain, and a lot of you talk about not enoughness, worthlessness, irrelevance, right? Not being seen, not being heard. If that is the primary pain, yeah, then what will happen in that primary pain? What action do you take? What action do you not take? What happens when you operate from that place? Tell me in the chat. Show me in the chat what happens. When you're feeling that, you're going to strive for career success to solve it. You're going to strive with positive thoughts to solve it. You're going to strive for greatness. You're going to strive for growth and development to solve it. And it can never solve it, ever solve it. CPD can never solve it. When you do that, right, what happens is any of this stuff on the outside familiar, burnout, stuckness, anxiety, feeling like a fraud, shutting down, procrastinating, Tell me your own version of secondary pain. Remember the idea of secondary pain. Everything on the outside of there is secondary pain. It's the product of the primary pain. Tell me what happens. Yeah. Have to prove myself. You can't prove yourself out of that. That has to be healed emotionally, energetically. You disconnect, you isolate, you get into depression. It reinforces the primary pain. You feel like you're lying to your clients and yourself. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is the problem, right? The truth of training for therapists, coaches, and counselors are it's not set up to deal with primary pain. So we don't get touching primary pain. And when we don't touch our primary pain, then we can't facilitate another's primary pain. And we feel like a fraud. Always guessing myself, feeling that I'm supposed to help clients when I can't help myself. Brilliant. Going round in circles, going round in circles. Brilliant. And then what happens is the stuckness you take more strategy on, the burnout you take more self-care on, and it changes for a moment. But if you don't change this primary pain, I'll let you see the key. Yep, surely. When you feel like a fraud, there we are, Arlene. Here is the source of imposter syndrome. It cannot be healed externally, Billy, right? Searching more solutions, none, because it's despairing. This stuff cannot be healed externally. It has to be healed internally. Now that you understand there's a leadership issue and there's a primary pain issue, what would you say is driving the majority of your feelings of fraud? Is primary pain driving the majority of the feeling of fraud in you? This is really important, brilliant. Why is this important? It's important because you cannot outrun this stuff. You can't out-educate it. And I can tell you this, you see, if you do this work in yourself, do you know how great the therapist you're going to be? What's your experience, Billy, of doing this work yourself? And then the way then that you feel that you can give to clients.
Will I talk?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I suppose I just, like everyone else here, probably felt like I'd done all this work on myself and all this training to be a therapist, but I still had anxiety. And then the fact that I had anxiety gave me more anxiety when with clients, because it's like, oh God, if they see this, if they knew that I had this piece, who am I to be trying to help other people when I'm not sorted? So even though, yeah, we're always on a continuous journey, I suppose finding you, Shauna, helped me to understand that it was the deep emotional sort of pain when I could source where it began and what it really left me believing about myself.
Brilliant.
And the world around, once that could be emotionally expressed, really, really difficult because you've shut yourself down. Well, most of us have, to cope. When that is expressed and shifted and soothed and turning into the self and giving that child what the child needed, that changed my life personally and professionally, because we're all on a journey still. You don't get to that standstill place, but I come away now from working with clients and I feel like we're not just kind of bathing in the same sort of, I call it the dirty bathwater. You know, I don't mean that expression to be cross, but we're going around the houses, the same stories, but there's no resolution, there's no movement, which is most people's experience when they come to you. Oh, I've been talking about this for 20 years. What's this going to do? But actually you see meaningful change, you see release, you see shift, you see the reparenting of self and the power that has. And yeah, it changed my life in a million different ways. I don't even know who that person was. Like, it's strange, but like what you say, and even talking to a very good friend of mine who's a really, really, really high up sort of marketing executive, and, you know, the money she earns and the life she has materially. But her childhood was just racked with alcoholism and neglect, and, you know, and there's so much anxiety triggered in these huge big meetings by these kind of these meanies that are coming for her, you know, and obviously they've got their need for significance and their own stuff going on, but she gets triggered right back into, I'm not enough, no one cares, and the pain of that, and like somebody said on the chat, I feel like crying, I feel like being vulnerable, but I'll be eaten alive here, and all that other stuff. And it's just amazing to see it playing out.
And the question I have for you, Billy, is when you worked in your own inner pain, did that transform how you felt as a therapist?
Yeah. Oh God, sorry. Did I just
No. You're perfect. It's all good. It's all perfect. All right.
Totally, because you journey through your own stuff. So you heal it at source, and then it's gone. And then you're able to facilitate that space for other people.
Brilliant. Thank you.
You know, it's as simple as that. Sorry now for...
No, that's really important. And you know, people are saying thanks for sharing your path. I think it's really important. I think the idea as therapists that we all should be perfectly healed is a phenomenon that's crazy, absolutely crazy, given that we're all human beings and all on a journey. But I think there's nothing like holding primary pain. I think there's nothing like holding primary pain and never having touched it and never having gone near it in yourself, and it puppeteering you. Because primary pain puppeteers you and the imposter syndrome. Yeah. It reminds you, primary pain reminds you of how worthless and useless and irrelevant, and how nobody would hear you because nobody heard you as a child, or whatever the pattern is, whatever the pattern of emotional pain is in primary pain, it just regurgitates itself in the now. Yeah. And it is that, yes, it's a huge, Martina, it's a huge block to growth, right? It's a huge block to growth. Because and the difficulty for us is if that is active and we're not aware of it, which is what this workshop's about, bringing awareness to it, guys, so that it stops puppeteering us. When we're not aware of its pattern, when we're not aware of its power, then we only treat the outer edges here. We treat the procrastination, we treat the shutdown, we treat the self-care. We get strategy for stuckness, we get CPD to help us feel better. Yes, Julie, your pain was minimized. So who would be looking at your pain? Yeah. So when we stay out around here trying to solve the secondary pain, we use the secondary pain. Does everybody understand what I mean about secondary pain? Primary pain is irrelevancy. Primary pain is worthlessness. The secondary pain is the pain that comes from that pain, is the breakdown, is the shutdown, is the procrastination, it's the exhaustion, it's the burnout, it's the overwhelm of CPD. Then we use that against ourselves and say, see, look how stuck I am. I can't even heal my own pain. I am a fraud.
Yeah.
We feed back on ourselves on it.
Yeah.
That has to stop. Because there's no amount of business strategy. How many of these, right? How many of these here tried and paid a fortune for business strategy that could never work because this was tying your feet to the ground? How many of these?
Exactly.
How many of us? Yeah. So we have to go to source and heal this imposter syndrome that's in us. Then we're free to fill out all the strategy. Then we're free to follow all of the techniques, to do all of the stuff that gets new clients, that does group work, that does. Then we're free to do all of that. But in this, and when we're tied to this stuff, it is nearly impossible. So what is my point? My point is, can we make a commitment to ourselves that we stop going after the secondary pain that's created from primary pain? Can you stop going after it? Can you not use it against yourself, please? Can you make a commitment to yourself this evening to not use the products of primary pain against yourself? It is the most unfair thing that you could do to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And the reality of it is, if you've got very difficult primary pain, you're also going to have leadership issues. Because if you have parents that didn't parent, if you had parents that didn't show you the way, if you had parents that weren't there, then you're going to have no leadership. You're not going to know how to manage pain. You're not going to know how to manage yourself. The two come hand in hand. And they are often unconscious, dormant, lying around, puppeteering you, and you're using this stuff against yourself. You wound and hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And that's time today to say no to that. Now, how does that feel? How does that feel, Lise? I want to get into the detail of primary pain now, and I want to see if we can pull out your pattern. But I just want to know where you are. It's 10 to 9. Yes, the source needs to be identified. Good, Nicole, it feels good. It's really important. And did you see from your colleagues in the room, from the 70 people that is in this room, how many people are dealing with primary pain, are dealing with a wound that says it's not good enough? Now, here's the important piece, right? If you have a wound, the wound lies in the body. It lies dormant until it's triggered. It'll be triggered by any person, by any place, by anything. So that worthlessness is in your body. And it's a pattern. It's an emotional pattern from childhood. It will trigger in the now in seconds. It'll trigger in relation to that client. Yes, mine. To touch something that's real. So this wound gets triggered in the now. You can do all the courses that you want. You can do all of the self-care that you want. You can do everything that you want. But inside, it'll get triggered in a moment. So the job is to find the pattern. So as we look at this, can you identify the pattern? Can you scribble that? Yes, your body's quite activated already. So let's look at the pattern. What's the language? Now, can you see that? Everybody see that? I want you to identify it tonight. Yeah? Somebody drawing on my lovely, don't know what that is. Oh. Can we identify the pattern? What is the pattern, guys? What's the language? Just want you to take a few moments and write it down at the side on your page. What's the language pattern? What's the repetitiveness of it? What's it saying? What's it continuously say? What's the feelings of it? Yeah, I'll share again in a wee minute. What's the language pattern of it? What's it say? What's it say in your mind? What's it hold in your body? Does it have any defense system with it? Does it have any nervous system with it? What's the somatics? So how does it feel in your body? I want you to get so good at looking at it and seeing it, because that, when you transmute it, when you transform it. So I want you to give yourself 2 minutes to jot that down. Use this circle. What's it say? What's its emotions? What's the somatics of it? Somatics are different than emotions. Somatics is the way we hold it. Do we hold it in tension in our neck? Do we hold it in our legs? How do we hold it? Everybody with me? If you can grasp that tonight, you are closer to healing imposter syndrome than you were an hour ago before you arrived here, or an hour and a half ago. You're closer to the root cause of imposter syndrome. Everybody with me? So just take a bit of time. That must be healed emotionally. Once you heal that emotionally, you remove it from the body. So vitally important. Okay? Now, so if you've answered yes to question 1 and yes to question 2, now we know why. Now we know why we feel like an imposter. Now we know what has been driving this. Now we know why we haven't taken action. Now we know why we haven't put ourselves out there. Now we know why we're telling ourselves we're awful. Now we know why. Now the third question is, how much secondary pain are you in? Brilliant. Blood draining fear. It feels anxious, exhausted, snappy. Chris, take your time with the processing of this. Come back to it. It'll be available for replay. It's no problem. So don't put yourself under pressure to process it. Go back to it and look at it again. What we're doing tonight is we're just simply identifying why we are an imposter, why we feel like an imposter, so that we can then set about healing it. We cannot heal what we don't acknowledge. Hopefully what this workshop has done is shone a light onto why you feel the way you do, why you do not take action, why you procrastinate, why you hold yourself back, why you stop taking action, and how you use that secondary pain against yourself. In and out of secondary pain like a roller coaster ride. Absolutely. And I was going to say roller coaster, and secondary pain is really, really, really important, because using secondary pain against ourselves is a decision. We now understand what the primary pain and secondary pain is. Secondary pain is procrastination. Secondary pain is not taking action. Secondary pain is not doing. Secondary pain is pulling back. Secondary pain is seeking ease. Secondary pain is the product of primary pain. Is everybody with me? So all that I'm asking you is, how many times have you used that secondary pain against yourself? And can we make a decision not to use it? Can we understand tonight, and let there be a line in the sand, that secondary pain, too many times to count, Catherine, that secondary pain is all but a product. It's all but a product. Yes, brain fog. It's all but a product of the primary pain or the leadership issues. And you make a decision tonight to say, listen, that's just a product. I know if I was rid of this primary pain, I know if I was rid of this leadership issues, then I wouldn't have all of that stuff. And I wouldn't use that stuff against myself. Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant, Tina. You feel a tightness in your chest and a breath becomes shallow. You can become breathless. I start to sweat in the back of my neck and begin to shift position. I then become foggy in my thinking. And you know the reason for that. That's because of the woundedness that you're working with. So what we're saying tonight is, if you've got secondary pain, which is question 3, how do we get rid of secondary pain? How do we stop using secondary pain against ourselves? We have to stop focusing. Yeah. Often feel like I'm running a race with no finishing line. Brilliant, right? Now what happens is, right, when we've got all the secondary pain, we try to fix the secondary pain. What you're fundamentally doing is that you've cut on the left arm and you're plastering the right arm. When you try to fix secondary pain, you have a cut in the left arm and you're trying to fix the right arm, and you are running in circles. So today, can we let go in this workshop? Can we let go? Find the root of secondary pain? Yes. Perfect. Because when you find the root of secondary pain, then you can heal once and for all. But if you try to work on the outer limits or out the products of primary pain, you're never going to fix it, and it leads to more imposter syndrome. When we deal with our leadership issues, and we deal with our primary pain, and how would I do it? I would work with your primary pain first. Go seek a solution to your primary pain first. Then all the secondary pain will take care of itself. And this is your plan for healing the imposter syndrome now. If you said yes to question 2, if you've got a core wound, a core experience, primary pain, let's seek to heal that first. If you've got a leadership issue, let's seek to heal that second. Primary pain is where you want to go first. You'll get the most benefit. You'll get the most energetic alignment out of healing your primary pain first. How do I know what the root cause is? So the root cause, Michelle, is a great question. How do we heal the primary pain? We'll talk about that now in a minute. So how do I know? The root cause will be detailed language patterns that will be repetitive, that you'll have heard over and over and over and over again. Yeah, Michelle? It'll have a high frequency of emotion. That will be the root cause. It'll normally have an active nervous system activation, normally have some energy around it, some anxiety around it. It often has a defense system like denial or avoidance around it. And it has a pattern of behavior that's repetitive. Everybody with me? That is how you know what is the root cause of your imposter syndrome. That will then have a behavior that you use against yourself. That you keep yourself trapped in the belief that you're not enough. You keep yourself trapped in the belief that you're not good enough because you haven't healed it, and the cycle continues. So this is an internal problem. It's an internal pattern that's locked in the body that needs an internal solution. We must find the pattern. We must undo it, heal it, soothe it, remedy it in the body, not cognitively. So if you're going to go back to your therapists, if you're going to go back to your supervisors with this stuff, right? If you're going to take this to the next level, then you'll want to heal this emotionally. That helping, Michelle? The key is in your emotional patterns. Brilliant. I'm delighted it's helping you. That's what this is designed to do. I am not joking when I say there's far too many therapists wounding and hurting themselves when there's far too much work to be done. There's far too many therapists and coaches and counselors. It can't possibly be subconscious, Chris, yes, but it will come out in the body. So what we're not aware of consciously will be felt in the body repetitively, which is why I'm saying it is a repetitive emotional pattern. How many of these, yeah, yes, the triggers guide you back to the feeling perfect, right? Or perfect body. So CPD can't fix this stuff. We stop doing the CPD to fix it. Business coaches can't fix this. We stop looking outside ourselves. So many of these have answered yes to question 1, yes to question 2, yes to question 3. Question 1 is I have a leadership issue. Question 2 is I have a primary pain issue. Question 3 is I have a secondary pain issue. Can everybody write in the chat how many of you have said yes to all 3? Can you write in the chat? Everybody can see. You see how yes to all 3? Yes, look at that. Look, can everybody look? Please look. We are not alone. Look at that. Look at that. Yes to all 3. Yeah. Angela, I'll go through the leadership issues again. Yeah, yes to all 3. So let us recap. Leadership is often how we operate in this world, how we move past pain, how we operate inside our ways of being, our personality systems, the rackets that we run. We're over supporting, over giving, over playing, over being in our personal operating systems. That's what leadership is, Angela. And that we tend to run up against the rackets, or that we have these emotional issues, these emotional problems, where we get trapped in big emotions, where we get trapped in big difficulties, big difficult emotions that take us out of the game completely. Now, what we now might be seeing from that leadership is that some of these emotions are actually core wounded emotions. They are primary pain. For anybody that identified in leadership with getting trapped in emotion, are you now identifying that you getting trapped in primary pain? Let me know. For anybody that identified, yes, Nicole, brilliant. Yes, Michelle, brilliant. Now do you see what the 2 are linked? Brilliant. Fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Definitely, Jen. Fabulous, Inko. Brilliant. Martina, yes. So when you identify that you get trapped in emotional pain, you're identifying that you get trapped inside these core wounds, inside this core pain. Brilliant. So now it becomes really clear, right? Now it becomes really, really, really clear. We don't have 9 million issues, guys. Do you see how clear it's becoming? We don't have hundreds of issues. We don't have procrastination. We don't have reneging on. We don't have overeating. We don't have, boundary issues. We don't have 100 million issues. We have one core issue. And from that core issue, we have lots of products. Thank you, Billy. You answer that. That's perfect. Does that make sense? Can you have leadership but not primary pain? Yes, Siobhan, you can have a leadership issue and not primary pain. Leadership, I know you've done an awful lot of your own primary pain as a therapist, yeah? But leadership, some of that leadership stuff will be enough to stop you in your tracks. What part of the leadership stuff are you identifying with this evening?
I was getting confused because I didn't think, as you know me, Shauna, and the amount of work I've done on the primary pain, and I can identify with parent and myself and then our child and all that. I'm more in the body than the head. Yeah. So that's why I was getting confused. I was thinking, no, I'm still stuck in leadership, but I don't have it's not that I'll never have primary pain. Jesus, it'll come up again. But that's why.
so when you answered yes, you answered yes, the question 1, but not question 2. That's fine.
Aye.
But it's the important, what was it in leadership you struggle with?
Well, I see, even listening to you tonight, I can feel some of the stuff I can identify with, but I can feel myself moving out of it or something, or moving. Right. So for me, and I don't mean this ego wise, but I believe I'm a really, really good therapist. I have so much, I'm okay with that. It's moving out of that comfort zone now and going bigger. That's where the fear of expanding, if that makes sense, Shauna. So is that the leadership? Is that
that's the leadership bit. So then what you're saying is, when I'm afraid, do I pull back? Yes. How do I behave in fear?
Mm-hmm. I procrastinate.
Brilliant. So there's a leadership issue. In fear, you procrastinate. So that you have to learn how to manage the fear better, so you push through it. That's not a trauma pattern. That's not a primary pain pattern. That's a leadership issue. How do you manage pain? How do you manage pain like fear? How do you manage pain like nervousness? How do you? That's what you're dealing with.
Because I remember, and I see myself moving a bit, because I remember you saying to me at a time about the pain, Siobhan. So the pain for me is moving into that bigger part, that business part. That's pain. So I could identify with that. But then I'm sitting here now thinking, I'm identifying with all this, and I'm moving out of the primary pain. But then I'm going to say now, right, so what do I do now? I need a half a day with you.
You need to come and do some leadership stuff. You have a problem with leadership. You don't have a problem with primary pain.
No.
But that's what this workshop's about. To identify, my predominant problem is with primary pain, or my predominant problem is with leadership. It's perfect. Now you really identify, and within the leadership you're identifying, it's a pain problem within that. It's actually the pain of fear, and how you lead yourself through that problem.
And to be honest, I think it's all the logic left brain, because I've done so much work in the body, the emotion, the right brain, the creativity, and the pain for me is to move into the left, move into the logic, and I'm thinking, I don't want to go there. I shut down, but I know I need to go further. I need to integrate this.
So how do you lead yourself through the pain of the problem that you see in being in this logic analytical place?
Yes.
There's your leadership issue.
Right.
How do you do that? That's not a primary pain problem. Is this helpful for everybody else listening? Do you see how she's distinguishing? Do you see how she's pulling out where we were today? Now, many of you now will be saying, I don't really have a leadership problem. I actually have a primary pain problem. I don't have an emotional mastery problem. I actually have a primary pain problem. If I was able to get near that primary pain, I wouldn't have an emotional mastery problem. I wouldn't have a leadership problem. So you're starting to really pick through the detail of this. Do you see it practically worked out, Jen? Isn't that brilliant? Siobhan, does that feel better?
I definitely, because I feel I'm okay with the emotional mastery, Shauna.
Yes,
it's this block, but talking to you there, it's like, so now I'm like, right, well, what I do now? I can see myself moving a bit, but it's this left brain again. What do I do to help?
Yeah, but brilliant, because now you don't know what to do with that, because you do. So what I would like you to be able to do is, I'd like you to be able to work out what you do. It's the same as looking at primary pain. What do you do when it comes to left brain stuff? What do you do? Yes, Jackie, primary pain leads to FFS response for sure. But what do you do? Because you can't change what you don't acknowledge, which is what this workshop is about. Mm-hmm. So when you're thinking about the leadership issue, what do you do that stops you? What do you do when you think of being analytical? What do you do? Do you pull back? Do you procrastinate?
I procrastinate and freeze. So we'll go between the two of those, the procrastination and the freeze, in relation to that business side of the things. Like as a therapist, I'm okay.
Because you don't like it, because it's not comfortable.
No,
because
it's not.
Yeah. And if I was doing leadership training with you, I I will be pushing you to lead yourself through that. It's not easy. It's not easy to do. Listen, it's not easy to sit in front of you. It's not easy. It is not easy to, and I had a kind of a part migraine before I come up. So my actual eyesight was really blurry at the beginning of this session. I had to lead myself through that. That's a leadership issue.
I think
Right.
I need a bit of co-regulation to lead me.
No, you need a boot in the backside. You need a
Shauna. You're always putting me in the backside.
Right. No, right? You don't. You just need to know what the problem is, and you need to know how to move yourself through it. And you need to know how to hold yourself in moving yourself through it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And you need a wee bit of coaching on it. That's all.
Yep.
And then you're flying.
That's the yucky, the business for me is the yucky part. But for me to expand and help more people, that's where I want to go. So
Absolutely. You know, when I developed the model, right, I have a spiritual coach. I don't know if you've ever heard of, I can't remember the place, Findhorn in
Scotland.
Scotland. So, and he's one of the directors, and he's a real spiritual coach to me. And I often say to him sometimes, because none of us are free from this. I'm not sitting here in front of you, core pain, yes, like yourself, clear from, but leadership is an ongoing thing that I have to move myself through. But I would often say to him, I want to work in Tesco's. Forget about this crack. Because the reality of it is, it's hard to put yourself forward. It's not easy. We want to live in ease. We want to live in where we're seen as, we want to live in gentleness. We want to live in ease. We want to live where it's easy. We want to live where there's great accolades. And when you're putting a modality out into the world, when you're putting a new modality of therapy out into the world, when you're training therapists, when you're trying to get people to believe you, it's an uphill struggle. And if I was only doing this for me, I would have stopped it a long time ago, but I'm constantly reminded about the need for this model being put out into the world. And that's how I lead myself. I find these kind of pivotal points in order to lead myself and to get myself to take action, because it's a leadership issue. But I know what it is. I know it's a leadership issue. Is this helpful to everybody else listening? It's a leadership issue. It's not a primary pain issue. If it was a primary pain issue, we'll go and heal that and then take action. I know it's a leadership issue. It's a leadership issue because I have to put myself out there. I have to put myself on the line. I have to put my experiences on the line, to be ridiculed, to be, and I do that every day, knowing that there's a possibility, but I don't have any primary pain on it. If I had primary pain on that, I would turn on my heels and never come out of the traps, because my nervous system wouldn't let me because I will be puppeteered by this primary pain. You don't have it and I don't have it. That's not better, less than, more than. It's just an identification of where we are, why we procrastinate, why we hold back. And so we're identifying within the 3 tests where we are. I hope everybody else is doing the same. Give me a wee nod. Is this fitting for everybody? Does this fit? Chris, does this fit? Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. So it's reassuring. Yes, it is reassuring. It's the reality. It is the reality of the human condition. But we get to lead ourselves. We get to lead ourselves through this. We get to stop playing in secondary stupid pain that does not move the dial. Stop investing in procrastination tools. Stop investing in CPD. Stop investing in the stuff that doesn't move the dial. Today, I hope every single one of you now identify primary pain halts the self-leadership. Absolutely, Marion. Controls it. It absolutely does. I hope every single one of you now have answered yes to question 1, question 2, question 3. And every single one of you now know where you need to focus. Now, whether you focus that attention with me So whether you work with me now in healing that, which I'll invite you to now in a minute, or whether you go and work elsewhere, I don't really care. Well, I would like all of you to work with me, obviously. But what I care about is that I care that you do the work and that you free yourself from it. For the same reason I keep putting myself out there, because it's needed, and it's genuinely needed. Your expertise, your experience, your place in this world is genuinely needed. Absolutely genuinely needed. And so it's important that you heal it. Whether you heal it with me or not is your prerogative, your decision. But it's important that now after this workshop, you put a plan in action, you stop looking after the secondary pain stuff, that you stop torturing yourself with CPD, and you stop using the secondary pain against yourself. And you decide, hopefully from this, you have some idea of what your pattern is, what your emotional secondary pain pattern is, and that you decide to heal it, because that will be the biggest way to freedom. Because what was it you said at the beginning? You wanted to help more people. You wanted to take more action. You wanted to believe in yourself more so you could reach more people, so you could do more groups, so that you could have more freedom. What else did you say? Liz, no worries. What else did you say? I hope you enjoyed it, Liz. What else did you say?
You talking to me?
Let me know.
I can't remember.
No, I'm talking about what would you do, Siobhan? What would you do if you'd run this leadership problem?
Probably more freedom. Just when you were, everything you were saying there, I was thinking, oh, jeekers, that's everything I'm thinking about here.
You want more freedom.
Uh-huh.
You'd reach more people.
Yeah, more people. Just exactly everything you were saying there. Yeah.
Who else? Is there anybody else here that's different than that? Is it all resonating? Is that, more proactive, push myself to reach others, Jen? So whatever you do, Jen, is needed. Like Tina, I know what you do. I know the work that you do and how vital that work is. Feel fulfilled. Yeah. Take more action, help more people. So by you getting rid of this stuff, you're actually helping more people. And those people need that help. And so tonight, I hope we've broken the back. I'm delighted, Sharon, that you said the example was clarity. Grow and improve on what I do, Michelle. You know, and this is what's vital. So, be comfortable with myself. Give more. Yeah, absolutely. So this is what's important, right? So whether you decide to work with me, and I'm going to show you how you can work with me, right? So you can work with me. We are about to launch our Imposter Syndrome 6-week intensive, right? It starts next Wednesday, right? It starts Wednesday night, and it's primarily focused on primary pain. It's a 6-week intensive program on finding, identifying, and healing primary pain. What it is not focused on leadership. So Siobhan, this isn't going to be right for you. You identified as not having primary pain, so this won't be right for you. This is not a leadership. It's a 6-week intensive on primary pain, on working with, identifying, working through, and healing the piece of primary pain that's holding you back the most. Once you know how to do one, you'll be able to do it loads of times, right? You'll be able to do it if you have more than one piece. In 6 weeks, I'll show you how you process it. We'll work in a group. It'll not be like this. It'll be very intimate, and it'll be very experiential. So it'll not be me teaching, I'll be coaching and working through and working with. Anybody that's ever done any of my groups will know how intensive this is. It's a 6-week intensive program to find and heal primary pain. It's done in a group. It's done in a group format. It'll be every Wednesday night. It'll be 2 hours on a Wednesday evening. And it's open to anybody that has showed up for this workshop. It is open to you all. All right. We run for 6 weeks. We go for 4 weeks. We break for 2, and then we go for another 2. I'll put up all the details now. It's all taught live. There's not an ounce of this that's pre-recorded. All right. It is not for the faint-hearted. I'm being brutally honest. It is not it's leadership is not in it. All right. There's not a leadership component to this. It is a group program. It's taught over 6 weeks. It's a very intensive program. If you have found yourself saying yes, 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 yes to primary pain, then you may consider it. You may want to consider it. So there's 2 ways of doing it, all right? I'm just going to pull up the wee graphic for it. There is 2 ways of doing it. It's 6 weeks, that's the price, it's £500. It's 6 weeks and a year's coaching. So you can just do the 6-week intensive and then go, or you can do the 6 week and get a full year after it coaching. Now there's some of us, and that's obviously £700. There's payment plans. We break this down to make it affordable. So there's payment plans for all of it, right? Now, there's some of the guys here that are in that coaching, that year's coaching. So that's the collective. So after the 6-week program, you go straight into a coaching program. So it's group coaching. It's for the full year. And what happens is you get group coaching twice a month. Now, Julie, Siobhan, some of these guys are in that group coaching. Tammy's in that group coaching. Siobhan's in that group coaching. It is a really, really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful environment to continue your learning after the 6 weeks, to continue to grow, to continue to move. And it's me that holds it, and it's held live. So it's 2 coaching sessions every single month. And there's workshops and all of that as well in it. It is an incredibly important part of the continuous development of yourself, but you don't have to go for it. If you just want to do the 6 weeks, you can just do the 6 weeks. Catherine, we keep the groups tight. There's only 20 in each group. That's not a sales pitch. You know, sometimes you come to these things and they say, oh, places are limited. That is not a sales pitch. Anybody that's in my group will tell you, anybody that's done any training with me will tell you I keep it tight simply because I want you to get the most out of it. All right, so we limit this to about 20. And there's, as I said, there's payment plans for it. So if any of those prices are a stretch, then I think there's 3 payment plans, so you can play it over the period of the coaching program if there's a problem with that. And what we do, just to be clear about what we do is our first week is designed to stay in the body. All right, to be in the body, so that we can get the pattern of this wound. We can get its essence, we can get its details, we can get what it's saying, what it's doing. We can get and what we can do is source its origins. When we source a pattern's origins, we can heal it. So we source it, we heal it, we set up a new narrative, a new pattern. So whatever, they're about 2 hours long each session, right? So what we do, right, about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. So what we do is, if you can imagine the wound, right? So if the wound was worthlessness, we set a new pattern in place, which is worth, which is value. We set the opposite up internally, emotionally. So that feeling that you have, we set the opposite in play. And we live under that opposite, and we heal that wounded child. We do inner child work, and we take that pattern out of the body. And we do that in a 6-week program. We learn from each other. We do coaching spotlighting. I know it's hard for some of you to understand it if you've never been in group with me, but it's very, very powerful process. And so that's what we do. And that's what we're planning to do. And we start next week. We have 20 spots. I would love all of you to join us. We go every Wednesday night. So we just continue. So you jump from this straight in. What I didn't want to do was open up a can of worms and then say, enjoy yourselves. I didn't want to open a can of worms and say, right, okay, everybody, have a good time. Now, some of you might have therapists that you can take this to, which is fine. That might be your route. And that's fine. Some of you will have leadership issues like Siobhan. Siobhan, this is not for you. This would be of no benefit to you. Anybody that had more leadership than they have core pain, this is not for you. All right. It is absolutely not for you. For anybody that wants to work with me on imposter syndrome from a coaching perspective on a one-to-one basis, I have 2 spots of one-to-one work only. So if the group work isn't your bag and you would rather it on a one-to-one basis, then I have only 2 spots for one-to-one. Now the price of that is completely different. It's one-to-one, it's intensive, it's a 6-month program. But that's a different ball game altogether. And we can give you the details of that, or Leona will probably email the details of that if anybody's interested. And that, see the link. So what'll happen is, right, when we're finished here, which we're nearly finished now, Leona will send you, check your emails, and your emails, you'll get the link of the payment plans. You get the link of if you want to sign up. If anybody has any difficulty, then email us. I wouldn't want you to miss it. So anybody has any difficulty, yes, Siobhan, we'll do. We have already planned to do a half-day leadership training. That's fine, no bother. So if also the link for the one-to-one will also be on your email as well if you need that. There's only 2 spots for that, and it's a big investment. The one-to-one's a big investment, where this is much more accessible, right? Absolutely much more accessible and easier, and maybe easier accessed for the majority of people. But if the one-to-one works better for you, that's fine too. 2 spots for that. Now, that's it. That's all of the details of the program. All that's left to say is in your notepad, you have all of this. You'll have the replay as well. So if you need to come back to this, to regurgitate it, to work with, to process it, please do. Right? The world needs you. People need your brilliance. They need you to get out of your own way. They need you to step out of your primary pain. They need you to shed the rubbish that you've been holding. And they need you to step into who you really are. So the clients that are waiting on you really need you to do that. Yeah. They need, how you're going to do it is your prerogative. How you're going to do it is in your hands. Whether it's with your current coach, whether it's with your current therapist, whether it's with your supervisor. Yeah. How you do it is your prerogative and your decision. And I just wish and hope that you get out of your way really quick and you stop feeding the machine. So tonight was about stop feeding the machine that is controlling you. And stop listening to the noise around it. Okay? And take that first step out. I want to thank everybody that has contributed. Are you all as exhausted as me? There's a bug going around in my house and I think I might have got it. I don't feel the best. I know, Andy, my wee boy, my wee 10-year-old was off sick. So thanks everybody that contributed. Thank you so much. I hope you feel the passion from me. I'm really passionate about this stuff. I'm really passionate about making a difference, and I'm really passionate about getting as many good therapists on the ground as we possibly can. Thank you all so much. I didn't do too bad, 2 hours. That's not bad for me. Normally we're here for hours and hours and hours. Did everybody get what they needed out of it? Was it helpful enough, Andy, was it? Yeah. Chris, was it helpful enough? Sarah, was it helpful enough? Tina, Catherine, Michelle, anybody that's here, hopefully it was helpful enough. Okay, brilliant, fantastic. All right. Brilliant, 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 Ellis. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Great. Okay, so now we're going to change how we think and feel about imposter syndrome. Good night. See you all soon. Hopefully see you on the inside of the program. See you all very soon. Bye-bye, Michelle.
Good night.
Night, night. Night, night, everybody. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.